All right, welcome to Mod 4, Lesson 13. And today we're going to be covering two standards. And the reason we're going to be covering two standards is because MAFS 5 NF26 is always tested underneath MAFS 5 NF24. Because NF24 is basically when you're multiplying fractions, okay? And whether you're doing a fraction and a whole number, a whole number and a fraction, or in this case, what we're talking about today are two fractions. And NF26 is the same thing, with the exception of just going to deal with word problems. So today we're going to be working with word problems, but we're also going to be multiplying fractions. So that's the reason we got both standards. Now the objective for today is about a difficulty 2, okay? And what you're going to be able to do is to solve word problems require me to multiply a unit fraction by another unit fraction using models. Now remember, if we're talking about a unit fraction, okay, a unit fraction is a number, let me see if I can get my pen here, there we go, has a unit of 1, so 1/4, 1/3, 1/2. They all have a unit of 1, so they're called unit fractions. So we're going to be multiplying unit fractions using models. Okay, Jan has 1/3 pan of Rice Krispie treats. She sends 1/2 of the treats to school with her children. What fraction of pan of Rice Krispies did she send to school? Well, first off, we know that a 1/3 is important information, and she sent half of that 1/3 to school, and they wants to know what fraction of the pan was sent to school. All right, now you can see that I've already have models set up because here is 1/2 and here's 1/3. And we've done it exactly the same way when we were adding fractions with models. Now we are going to combine these models just like we did before, but we're going to have, instead of counting all the squares that are colored, we're going to look for where they intersect. Okay, in other words, where both models have color of them. Let's see what happens when we put them together. Look at this. When we slid the 1/3 into the half, notice we have this one orange one right here in the corner. Okay, so we know we took 1/3, we multiplied that by 1/2, and just like when we're adding fractions, our denominator is going to be what the total amount of squares there are. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. So we know our denominator is 6. And we can see here that only one of them had both fractions interacted with. And the reason they did that is because yellow and red goes orange. So we know that this is the only one. So we know 1/3 times 1/2 equals 1/6. Interesting. Let's try another problem. Jan has 1/3 a pan of Rice Krispie treats. She sends 1/4 of the treats to school with her children. What fraction of the pan of Rice Krispie treats does Jan send to school? Well, once again, we know this is 1/3 and this is 1/4, okay? Because that was the pertinent information. And now, once again, let's know what fraction of the pan do they send to school? All right, so just like before, we're going to take these lines and we're going to slide them over, okay? We're going to take our quarters into our thirds. Let's see what happens. Okay, so we know we've multiplied 1/3 times 1/4, and it'd be like saying 1/3 of 1/4, and that's multiplication. And we can see we ended up with one orange square out of a total of 4 by 3, which gives us 12. So we know 1/3 times 1/4 equals 1/12, I'm sorry. So I might be able to see a pattern developing here, but we need to know how the model works, okay? Let's try another one. A sales lot is filled with vehicles for sale. 1/3 of the vehicles are pickup trucks. 1/3 of the trucks are white. What fraction of all vehicles are white pickup trucks? Okay. Well, once again, here's our 1/3. That's the 1/3 of vehicles. And here's our 1/3 of, we know 1/3 of them are white trucks. And we know what fraction of all vehicles. So once again, we're going to be 1/3 of 1/3. Let's go ahead and combine them. So now we can see that 1/3 of 1/3 equals, and I only have one orange square, and I've got a 3 by 3, which gives me 9. So I know 1/9 are white trucks. Anyone seen the pattern yet? Well, if you haven't seen the pattern yet, then let me show you. First we had 1/2 times 1/3, and we ended up with 1/6. Notice, even when we did the model, we ended up with 1/6. But if we multiply the numerators, 1 times 1 gives us 1. 2 times 3 gives us 6. So we just multiplied the denominators across. When we had 1/4 times 1/3, we ended up with 1/12. Because 1 times 1 gives us 1 again. 4 times 3 gives us 12. In the last example, we had 1/3 times 1/3. And what's that going to be? 1 times 1 is 1, and 3 times 3 is 9. Multiplying fractions is very easy. All you do is multiply the numerators and multiply the denominators. But you also need to know how to represent them in a model. So make sure that you understood that. Okay? All right, on the EdTed, I'm going to have some examples there. I'll have the problem set, and I'll also have the homework sheet there for those that would like extra practice. All right, we'll see you when we get back.